aggressive and frequent media reports about Bo Bergdahl and the suspicions and the claims about how he left the base and how he then was taken into custody or captured by the Taliban. So I think if anybody at the White House would have done Google Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, it would have jumped right up at them. There's no explanation for why they didn't know this.
Yeah, well, of course, and welcome back to the show, folks, and we'll be joined by Jamie Weinstein momentarily. Of course they knew about it. I mean, to say that all they had to do was Google, you think Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, that's why Lindsey Graham on this show yesterday said Susan Rice needs to be replaced because it's impossible to have confidence in her. I mean, I know what Jim Miklaszewski's saying, and he's right, theoretically, but do you really think that the administration, the president, Susan Rice, they didn't know the history here? Of course they knew the history here. Everybody knew the history here. This man was pegged as a deserter by everybody involved. If the New York Times was able to get a hold of the letter that he left on the day that he went missing, then the military had that letter. In fact, now the New York Times today is quoting from a secret military report that says it was the third time that he left the base. Third. Now you're telling me they had to Google, the White House had to Google it to find all this out? Now we are talking about the Obama White House, so he might, there is a point to be made here, but, common sense has to prevail. Just like, it reminds me of Obama nominates somebody to some cabinet position or some high-ranking office, and then you find out this guy is a radical, or this woman is a radical leftist who did this, who did that, who has connections to this group or that group. And you think, oh, they must not have vetted him or her. Oh, they vetted him or her. That's why they nominated him or her. They're not stupid at the White House. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, why they do some of the things they do, I can't tell you. I mean, why Susan Rice would go out there and say that he served his country honorably, I can't tell you. But you're not going to tell me that they didn't Google it and they didn't know it. They don't have to Google it. They got millions of people working there who Google things and give them information. So, I understand where he's coming from. But it's not just that. Here's number 23. Listen to Chris Matthews on this, okay? Chris Matthews. We keep coming up with people on the left. Watch.
You're making these legal points, which I question because I don't think they cease to be hostiles. But my question is this. If those guys get back in there and start killing American GIs who are stationed at our embassy or anywhere else, whose head's that on? Yours or the president's? But it's somebody's, because the person who lets them go is responsible for them now. Right now.
Well, if you're going to wait till the risk is reduced to zero, then they'll be
Not
serving
zero.
a life
How about
sentence.
down to something plausible? Let me ask you this. Do you think it's plausible that those guys are going to retire from this war?
Well, we don't know. Only time's going to tell, but we're never going to...
You don't think so. How about you don't think so? Say you don't think so.
Ooh, Chris Matthews getting a little huffy over there. I don't think there are any tingles running up and down his leg there. All right, folks, let's welcome in our guest, Jamie Weinstein, senior editor for the Daily Caller. Hello, Jamie.
How are you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. You're very intriguing title to your column, which I usually say to authors or columnists, you don't make the headline or the title, but you might because of your position. But how Bergdahl could become Bergdahlzi or Bergdahlzi. Not easy to say, but it is intriguing. Talk about how you mean that.
Well, I think that we're getting to a point, and I know some people on the left use it as a disparaging term, but I'm just merely pointing out how this could actually become like a Benghazi-type situation or worse in terms of the problems for the White House. If you have this prisoner of war come back, or not, he's not really a prisoner of war, but this man who many people believe deserted his unit come back after we've given up 5 of the most vicious terrorists in Gitmo. And it turns out that not only did he desert, that he actually, as some reports suggest, that there's an investigation into, as Fox News is reporting, that there has been an investigation into, that not only did he desert, but perhaps even help the Taliban. This could be a disaster that the Obama administration has yet to face, yet even greater than Benghazi, even greater than the IRIS scandal, where they gave up 5 terrorists to bring back somebody who may have actually been a traitor, as some reports suggest. Now, we don't know that for sure yet. There's going to be reports into that as we go, but there has been an investigation into this. There has been reports as far back as 2010 that he may have helped the Taliban work on their bomb-making
Make bombs.
materials.
Yeah.
Right? There have been reports from the soldiers themselves that as soon as he went into Taliban hands, the attacks in the area became more precise and it had increased, suggesting that maybe he gave them information. Again, I don't want to say this determinatively because there has to be
no, Jamie, I have the article. I have an article.
The reports are out there.
I have an article in front of me from the London Daily Mail Online from 2010 that says exactly what you're saying. You know, we played a bite of Jim Mikolashevsky from NBC News prior to you coming on, and he said, you know, I can't imagine why the White House didn't just Google Bergdahl's name and find all this out. Well, and I said right before you came on, I said, what, are you kidding me? You didn't even Google it. This has been known for years and years and years. But I got to ask you, Jamie, before we move on, and if it does become another Benghazi or Bergdahlzi, one of the first questions, although it's probably not the most serious, is here we go again with another central key player, same name, same face, same person, Susan Rice. How on earth does she go out there on Sunday of last week and say that he served his country with honor? I can't even begin to imagine how she could do that.
Well, she seems to be the administration's fall person. They always send her out to say things.
But let me just stop you, Jamie. There's a difference here. Jamie, there's a difference. She was a stand-in for Hillary who was fed talking points. She's a national security advisor now. She's supposed to know this stuff.
It's hard to believe she didn't know. And let me agree with you on this. This idea that, this is a staffing problem, they didn't Google him, I think that's total nonsense. I don't believe the staff went to the president and said, why don't we do this deal? I believe it was the president's decision. I don't think anyone on the staff goes, hey, this is a great idea for you, Mr. President. Let's give 5 top Taliban guys from Gitmo in exchange for a guy that there's, every evidence deserted the unit. I don't think anyone on his staff does that. I think that's a presidential decision. And I believe, and this is a column that I'm writing for Monday, I believe that his foreign policy at this point is all predicated on the final speech he wants to give when he's president. He wants to give one final speech saying, as president, I got us out of Iraq, I got us out of Afghanistan, I finally shut down Gitmo. He only cares about that final speech. No matter the consequences of that, no matter that the reason he got us out of as a result of getting us out of Iraq, as the New Yorker magazine article showed, we have now lost Iraq irreparably. All you needed was maybe have 1,000 troops there, not in combat roles, but that doesn't matter. I think that he only cares about this final speech that he gives. It doesn't matter the consequences of that, and this is all part of that. This is part of giving getting rid of Gitmo.
I do not disagree with you. That's a brilliant point. I think you're absolutely right. You left out, of course, the one that I think he will mention at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end, and that's that we got Osama bin Laden. I think that'll be mentioned 3 times somehow in the same list of accomplishments because it's not that long of a list of accomplishments. But having said that, let me ask you about Lindsey Graham, who was on this show yesterday, wound up bringing up the I word, saying that if Obama does this again, with regards to transferring Gitmo prisoners without following the law, he's going to raise impeachment. Do you see any possibility that this could be the straw that, I don't want to say breaks the camel's back, but this could be the ingredient that really explodes the drink? Because, for years now, especially in the last couple, we've been hearing this president breaks the law, this president doesn't respect the Constitution, this president, doesn't respect the law, the founding fathers are rolling over in their graves. Could this be the one step too far?
Well, I am hesitant to raise the I word. I think that this president...
Well, you're not. I mean, Lindsey Graham did, yeah. So I'm just asking you about it.
Right. Well, I think this president has been deeply problematic in his handling of many situations, most especially this. I think this one may be the most damning of all. I don't think that it's useful to talk about impeachment yet until people are serious about moving towards it. I think that it was thrown around in the Bush administration too much. I hate the idea of a lot of things. Everyone uses the word impeachment, I think, too often. So I think you need to wait and see to something that you're really ready to move and you have a strong case for impeachment. I don't think it's there yet. I think this is highly problematic, very serious what he did here, and I think it's going to really tarnish his legacy and maybe really destroy his party's hopes of maintaining the Senate.
Jamie, you wrote a great piece talking about a soundbite that we played just the other day, Richard Engel of NBC News, admitting that you'd be hard-pressed to find a foreign country that we now have a better relationship with than we did when Obama took office. And, of course, the fallacy is that we do, just like the fallacy that, we went to Iraq alone and all this nonsense from the Bush years held over. As a matter of fact, today, Obama stood next to Cameron and said the relationship between our two countries has never been stronger. But you wrote a piece that started with that quote from Engel, and it's the 3 times the Obama administration has been embarrassed or humiliated by foreign leaders in just the past couple of years.
Well, yeah, these are small points, but I think they're significant in that they show, and I point to the fact that 2 times Russia refused to return the calls of our top officials. In one case, Secretary of Defense Hagel, and one case, Secretary of State John Kerry. And then the other time was just last Memorial Day weekend, just a week ago, when the president made a surprise trip to Afghanistan. Karzai refused to meet with him. It's just showing that no one is worried about the president anymore. No one fears him. No one fears disrespecting the United States of America. And it goes to show. Actually, there was just a speech. I think it was yesterday or the day before. The New York Times wrote about today. Khomeini in Iran says, there's no fear that the president, it's off the table that the president will use military force to set back our nuclear program. We're not worried about it. Well, let me tell you this. If Iran is not worried about the threat of a military force to set back their nuclear program, guess what? They're not going to set back their nuclear program, because that's the only thing that would make them consider it. And if they don't fear the president in that respect, then all this diplomacy is for naught.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And I do agree with you that I think that this action over the weekend is the biggest thing of all, and on so many levels, not the least of which is dishonoring the at least 6 people who were killed, men in uniform, killed looking for Bergdahl, and also just putting a target on the backs of all the soldiers we have and civilians all over the world. But I thank you, Jamie. Great talking to you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, folks. Of course, check out the Daily Caller and read Jamie's work over there. When we come back, we're going to have a very extended conversation with a true American hero and get his viewpoint on the whole Bergdahl situation. Major Rusty Bradley, former commander of U.S. Special Forces in southern Afghanistan. He was there heading the command center when Bergdahl went missing, and we'll ask him plain out and get a straight answer. Do you believe that Bergdahl is a deserter? And we'll take it from there. It's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot to get to. So do not miss this interview. I'm excited about it. Right here, you know where, on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.